Welcome to the Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island. Free-flowing talk with a charismatic, down-to-earth host. Join Dean as he interviews and chats freely with his guests, ranging from superstar athletes to politicians, industry titans, and everyday folk with fascinating life stories. Dean educates, entertains, and most of all, touches people's lives. You're listening to the Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dean Blechman Show. This is your host, Dean. We're in the studio today in Setauket, Long Island. Here, right at my side, is the great guy that inspired me to launch my own radio show, the Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island, but my sound and technical supervisor, Anthony Licausi. How are you today, Anthony?
I am lovely, Dean. Thanks for having me. How's everything with you?
Everything's terrific. It's been a beautiful summer. It's really been great. How's everything on your end?
I agree. Can't complain. It's going by a little too fast, though, and I just realized that it is already the first week of the month of August here, which is crazy. It's
going way too fast. What's exciting, at least, is the Olympics are coming up in Rio, I think, this weekend.
I forgot all about that. That's right, the Olympics. It's a big thing. Big thing.
I always love the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
Love it. Can't wait. But we're going to go across to the Atlantic. That another person that inspires me every day with the show is Rea. Rea over there in the UK. Are you with us, Rea?
Hi guys, of course I'm with you. I feel I need to fill your listening audience in, Dean, with what's going on this end. We've just come off trying to do a show with Gabriella, which, fingers crossed, is going to be coming to you soon. But sure enough, that one didn't work out because the connection was so bad and she was so lovely. So it's such a shame. But we're going to try and do another one and get a better connection, which is doable, but it didn't happen on the day. So Dean's a bit thrown out by the whole affair. So we're coming off script and we're going to bring you a show that we bring to you one show every 3 shows along. So we're going to call it 3 in 1. So every 3 guests, we do our own show. Every 3 guests, we do our own show, talking about the guests that have been through, topics that are on topic, and all those kind of things. So it's kind of like you're listening to a private chat. And the goal is to keep it as real as possible. And we've all got to put our hands up and go, we went to do one and it didn't work out. What a disaster. But so we're going to put this one in the bag, just in the bank, in case the interview coming up with Gabriella doesn't work out. And Dean, I hope you're not schwitzing too much, darling.
I schwitzed a little bit, Rea, that I got used to my old business days of pills, potions, and lotions, that this was welcome to the world of broadcasting, that there are things that can be challenged the day that we're doing a show. And here was this young lady, lovely young lady out in San Diego, that there were technical sound problems that we had to deal with and reschedule. So, it's no different than quality control issues that we have to deal with consumer products with the business I was in.
Yeah, this is that old sort of the show must go on kind of thing, isn't it? I guess it is weird if you're not used to it and you've got this vision of what you're about to do. Anybody would be a bit phased, wouldn't they? God, that didn't go to plan. I'm now off script. I've got no content to talk about. But fortunately, we can manage just fine because we're a team.
What was very cool, Rea, is you said, Dean, just take a break, go have some coffee, do whatever you got to do. And while I was dealing with a little bit of a panic, anxiety, a little stomach distress, pulled myself together. And besides my wife, Sharon, and my kids, I'm with my 2 favorite people in the world. So this is great. So we're back on the air.
Hey, we most definitely are. And sweetie, you need to lay off the whiskey.
I don't drink, Rea, I don't drink whiskey.
He should start maybe.
Well, that was my point. You got it, Anthony. You read my mind. Let's get a bottle of whiskey in the studio for him for when he starts to schwitz, and maybe that will help him through the dark times, just to see that, hey, it's not that big a problem. Right, I'm just going to touch on a couple of things before we speak about the guests. The first one is I found a great thing today, this morning. As you know, I speak to loads of people globally, and this is not a business thing. These are people that want to talk about this, that, and the other. Well, the one thing we all kind of know as the world looking into the US is the US judiciary system is kind of not the fairest thing in the world. And if you're a little person that's been trodden on by a corporate, you don't really have a chance on challenging them in courts. Well, I found a website today called trialfunders.com. That's trialfunders.com. And is what they do. If you're the little person and you've been trodden on by the corporates that will just stonewall you if they go to take you to court, or no, you need to take them to court because you've been unjustly treated, but you simply can't do it because there isn't the funds. You go to these guys at trialfunders.com. They kind of take an overview of your case, and they will fund your case for a percentage. So what do you think to that, guys?
I think that's a great resource to have. That's the first time I've heard about something like that.
Rea, I never heard about that. I think it's it's great.
It kind of, it's a free market thing. So, on one hand, it's good that you think, well, if you really did feel, begrudged or that you have been trodden on this kind of slam dunk case, there is an option, although you may be, because I don't know this, I only found this out this morning, you might be dealing with another bunch of sharks. But you can, if they agree, it's like a hedge fund, if you like. If they go, well, look at this case, this is slam dunk, or maybe not quite as black and white as that, they'll give you the funds to see it through to the end. And I guess some option is better than no option. What do you think, Dean?
Rea, I guess this is, what's the difference between this and an attorney working on a contingency with a client?
One of the problems with it is I don't think in essence it's that different, but I don't know how an attorney or whatever would say the case could be a couple of years long, couldn't it? Or maybe shorter, maybe longer. Whether they would go for a sort of no-win, no-fee angle, I don't know would they do that for that kind of length of trial, Dean?
They might do that.
Okay, I didn't think I thought people generally walked around thinking, I've been, I don't know, sacked unfairly or something's happened to me that is genuinely unfair, but I don't feel able to pursue it in court to see that justice is served. Now,
Rea, this website, does it offer attorneys in all different areas of legal?
I think so. There's two guys running it up that's just started it. They're both attorneys. I think one's got about a decade and the other a decade and a half. They've seen this situation where the little person, as it were, doesn't feel empowered to pursue the big guys. And that's where they're positioning themselves, as it were, Dean.
Anthony, what do you think of this?
I think that's phenomenal, considering that a lot of people, I would imagine, are intimidated in situations like you mentioned the big guys, Rea. So if you look at corporate America here, your average person knows they don't have deep enough pockets to go against some of the larger corporations. So I think we need something like that to empower people to kind of take their confidence back in the legal system.
Rea, just for the audience, once again, you mind restating that website that they could go to?
Certainly. It's trialfunder.com. Trial as in a court trial, trialfunder.com. I had a quick look at it this morning. All very brief. I do the news every day over this end, and I look at what's going on the globe, and I saw that and thought, and I heard him speak as well. On one hand, I'm thinking that would be quite nice to empower people. On the other hand, I couldn't sort of recommend it because I don't know anybody that's been through the process. They've come up with stats and statistics of cases that went well. And for the people investing in the fund to fund what we're calling the little people has gone well. So people are keen to fund in. and they're keen to get behind the everyday person to pursue these corporate lawbreakers. And let's face it, there's a few of them.
Unbelievable story.
It's quite good, isn't it? I was quite pleased.
Great. You have a lot of activity over there, Rea, in Europe the last 2 months.
Oof, where do you start? I mean, we're not doing official stuff today, being the 3-in-1 show, but where to start? I mean, on the headlines, I've got where to start. Germany is not happy. The people in Germany are not happy with Angela Merkel for letting all the people in. And as you know, it's not gone well in Europe, is there? There's the attacks have increased dramatically, and Germany is letting a colossal amount of people, and obviously with Britain going to leave, that puts more pressure on them to also, I guess there was some vision of a percentage that came in through Istanbul or however they got across Turkey overseas, however that works, that some were going to end up in the UK, and certainly they have. But that door is about to close, I believe. To what degree, I don't know, because of this Article 50 and England leaving. But outside of that, yeah, Europe's a state. And I also found out as well that the European Central Bank is printing 80 billion a month in quantitative easing just to buy back shares and debt, Dean.
That's just incredible, that story, Rea. There's one person that I haven't mentioned the last 2 shows that I would like to mention on this show is a very good friend of mine that goes back a long way that we all know. That's a very valuable part of the team of the show. His name is Scott Morrell. And Scott and I met many years ago. It just so happens that Scott and his parents had a very, very well-known and big catering business. And Scott happened to be the caterer for both my children's bar mitzvah and bat mitzvahs when they were 13 years old. And here, all these years later, Scott heard about Dean Blechman launching a new radio show. We resurfaced together. And Scott now is the senior writer correspondent for the show. And every show, he writes a pre-show summary. And there's always a post-show summary that will be on the YouTube channel. The pre-show summary will be on the website. He will be a featured guest in a couple of weeks on the show. He has a tremendous sense of humor. And it's just amazing that someone that I go back in time with that played such a big part in my family and tradition and of a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah that here he is part of our show, and you guys have had a chance to work with him, experience with him, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about that experience with Scott. Anthony, why don't we start with you? Scott Morrell.
Love Scott. He's a great guy, very intelligent, has an awesome sense of humor. He's a phenomenal writer, and his brain's always going a mile a minute. Reminds me of myself and you and the team here. We're always on the no off switch with us, and I'm glad to be working with him. Really am.
As far as Rea, let's go across the Atlantic to you. I don't know if you've ever experienced out in the UK or you're 50 miles from London. I don't know if you've ever attended a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah.
In short, no, none of the above. Starting with Scott. Scott's a lovely guy. And like Anthony said, excuse me, I'm just getting a feel for you American guys. You kind of run at 1,000,000 miles an hour, right? And it's kind of, I feel inspired to say, hey, lay off the coffee and the caffeine. It will probably help. But at the same time, I love you for it and stuff. But I'm just getting used to the pace that you run at. It's like, wow, it is just the hammers down all the time, isn't it? And
that's the New
and
York
it's go,
way.
go, go. And Scott is one of those guys. He is, as Anthony said, runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And the bar mitzvah thing, no, I know very little about the Jewish faith. In fact, I was reading about it a couple of days ago. Oh, well, I was reading about Zionism, but we won't go there. But I was just trying to learn more about Jewish culture, Dean.
Well, my children, when they became 13 years of age in the Jewish tradition, is you become a woman and a man. So it's a unbelievable experience. Scott and his parents were the marquee, were the cream of the crop, and the people that you knew used to make beautiful receptions. And Scott experienced that with thousands and thousands of families over the years. So he's not in that business anymore, and somewhat like all of us, embarking on new careers. And he got very excited about the launch of my show, and he's going to be doing all sorts of writing and making all kinds of appearances and contributions to the show.
Oh, I believe that. No, I've read some of what he's written, although he's still getting format. So it's not a book. So people look at it and go, oh, I don't really want to read all that. And then on the other hand, it's informative, which is striking a balance, which we're working with at the moment. But it's quite difficult. Love him to bits, I do. He's always there for you, Dean.
Well, one day we'll have you over here, Rea, to New York, and we'll have you attend a bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, or a Jewish wedding. And you know what we'll do? We'll put you up on the chair and we'll do the horror with the band.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. How about you, Anthony? Anything else regarding Scott?
No, not
You know who we haven't spoken to in a while, that from the early stages of the show, our friend Stu Simpson.
Stu Simpson. Love Stu. Stu's another great guy. Really great.
I spoke to him this morning.
You did? What do you have to say, Rea?
He's good. He's just changing jobs. He works freelance at I never know what they're called, one of the big sports stadiums. What's the acronym?
MLB.
NLB.
M like Mary.
Yeah, MLB, Major League Baseball.
MLB. He's working there freelance, and he's off to. He was telling me about the new job. Actually, it sounds amazing. So I'm not going to go on to it on air because it's kind of personal. It'll probably be okay with it, but I feel that sometimes we need to draw a line on what's spoken about on air. But he's starting a new job. He sounded really on form, Dean.
I knew. I hope Stu's listening to this show, that he was just an immense help to me personally in launching the show. I know he was extremely helpful to you guys as we were putting this together. I met Stu once again, as I meet a lot of people, at my local Starbucks in Setauket, where a lot of people find me. And once again, I always like to say, whenever I'm not there, Starbucks always say their revenues are down somewhere around 20%. But I had an opportunity, like I meet everybody at my local Starbucks, and got to know Stu, told him about my show. And it was an incredible plus that Stu had 30 years in behind the scenes in engineering with broadcasting. So he was extremely helpful with us. I know that we did some pilots with him and some voiceovers with him, and just an overall nice guy. And we've got to have him back as a guest because he did a lot of things besides broadcast engineering and being in the studio that are just fascinating stories in his life. As you know, Anthony, Stu was a first responder back in Southern California during the terrible O.J. Simpson tragedy and killings that he's got. We'll save that for another time. But as you know, he's got his own theories and philosophy around that.
Yeah, great story. That's a great story that he has.
Rhea, I know Stu's been helpful with you and with Anthony. Anything you want to say about Stu?
Stu, bless him. Yeah, no, we stay in touch. It's usually, I think, when we were staying in touch regarding the studio, it was all kind of studio-centric, as it were. But things have moved on, and since then, so it's just kind of friends catching up, what's going on in life, what's going on my end, what's going on his end. A bit of show format, I was explaining him a bit of that taking it back to the show. But outside of that, it's more a friendship developing and just catching up, because he's got where he wanted to be, as it were, but he will be based in New York. So he'll still be around, which is lovely, Dean.
What I love so much that's starting to evolve with the show, Rea and Anthony, is that the show is not your typical interview type of show. It's a show. It's a bantering with Dean, a kibitzing with Dean, being with friends, a conversation with Dean. That it's not your typical show. And even you, Rea, you've brought into it. There's every show, Rea's Let's Question It segment. I think you have Rea's Ditties, which is more of a European connotation. There'll be on a segment that's on the spot with guests. And obviously, I'm very blessed for the show to have you over there, that we have someone that is physically on the ground in the UK and be able to every day bring first breaking news that's coming from Europe right through to the Dean Blechman Show to the United States. It's I can't thank you enough.
You're welcome, sweetie. It's no problem at all. It's something that I do because I do the news every morning, don't I? So I'm in touch with what's going on globally at my fingertips. I'm sitting in quite a serious control room here, and there's a lot of power at my fingertips where I can see certain parts of the world that the public are unable to see on the whole if they're in the mainstream media, whichever country they're in. That mainstream media is controlled, of which I have a great story about that, actually, but we'll go into that another day. But you're right. I'm going to bring ditties, and I'm going to bring on the spot, which is always fun. Let's question it, some news. And I've got a new one as well that I want to bring, and it's called Guess the Accent. It's for you, lovely US people, to try and guess which part of England that this particular accent comes from. So I have a clip here that I'm going to play you in a moment. And I would like you to tell me. Now, I feel this is really easy, but I don't know if that's the case. So I'm going to play you a clip now, and I would like you to guess where this guy is from. Are you ready, guys?
All ready.
Ready, Freddy.
Here we go.
You know what I says to folks when they come round here? I say, come on my land. Oh, I love it. When the members of the public, especially city folks, come out here on a Sunday, places jammed up, you can't move your tractor. I don't mind. I sit back and laugh. I love it. They come on this here big field, park up their cars in the gate so I can't get in or out. I don't mind. I said, you leave your car there as long as you feel happy. I don't mind. They have a picnic there.
So where do you think he's from?
Anthony, on break. She's making me break a sweat again. You're going to have to help me on this before I take a guess. I'm schwitzing now.
I'm going to go with Canada, somewhere in Canada.
You're going to go with Canada. How interesting. And Dean?
Ireland.
You're going to go with Ireland.
Ireland, yes.
Bless you, Americans. Honestly, I love that. I love that. No, you're not even warm.
What?
And I did. No, you're not even warm. And okay, it's in the UK, so it's a region within the UK. It's a regional strong. Would you say it's a strong accent?
Is it? I mean, yeah, it's strong. It definitely is. Yeah, to us, that is. I would say. Yeah.
Listen, it's a strong accent, but it's not someone I would listen to every day like I get to listen to you. There's no one in my world that has an accent like you, Rea. You got a beautiful accent.
Oh, bless you. I take payments by check, PayPal, and fax. No, come on, guys. So you've never heard that accent before?
I
Never.
could have swore it was Canadian.
Oh, that is shocking. Oh, I didn't mean to do this. I really thought you'd do better than that. No, okay, all right. So I
He's
need
on
to
the
make
outskirts.
It easier,
He's on
clearly.
the outskirts of England, I'm going to assume.
No, it's within England. It's an English accent.
But he's like out in the rural area, I'm going to assume, right? That's not a London accent.
Rural's good.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's from, Anthony. I have no idea. I'm stumped. I have no idea where that accent is from.
And so you want to go with one last stab, or shall I tell you?
I just know it's got to be somewhere rural England, because that's definitely not a city accent from what I know. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you the particular region of England. There's no way.
That is brilliant. There'll be people listening to that screaming at the set sort of thing. Okay. Particularly the English people, obviously. But that aside, it is from a region called Somerset in the UK.
Somerset. Okay. I actually know of Somerset. So that's pretty interesting.
Rea, how far are you from Somerset?
Somerset is on the border of where England joins Cornwall in the southwest corner, and it would be considered is among one of the strongest accents in the UK. For someone to go, oh right, as soon as if you was a UK citizen, you would go, oh right, you're from Somerset, because it is such a distinct accent. Now clearly I'd underestimated and thought you guys would nail it, and that I would then move on to the next one. So it's what I need to do. I need to make it easier. So work in progress, guys.
So this is Somerset exactly the scenic of the way it's pronounced and the way it sounds, Rea? Sounds beautiful.
Somerset is a beautiful region. Have you ever heard of a festival called Glastonbury?
Glastonbury.
I've heard of it, but I don't know of it.
Wow. So over these parts, it's massive. Absolutely huge. It's just finished, actually. And, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It is the number one festival to go to in the UK. And Somerset is where, I'm making this up as I go along now. Somerset is where they make cider. It's known for their cider. So people go to Somerset, sit down, drink the cider, the locally made cider, which is strong, by the way.
Love cider.
And one of them's
Me
called
too.
Knee Cracker.
I love cider.
Oh, this is the unfermented. This has alcohol.
Wow.
She's talking about, right?
Oh yeah, no, this
Okay,
is
so, yeah.
I think you're
cider.
low alcohol over that side. I don't know how much alcohol does a tin of beer have in your side?
I don't drink beer.
5%, I think. Something like that.
Okay, well this
low.
cider will be the strong ciders will be 7, 8, 9, 10%.
Okay. Yeah, our cider is definitely not that high.
And they have some great names. One of them is called Knee Cracker. Because if you drink it, you just go at the knees.
Yeah.
Are we going to have to do a show over there in Somerset, maybe for a couple of days or a week?
Somerset, if you wanted to, yeah. I mean, you would be surrounded by people that speak like that.
Interesting.
I mean, all these future shows and things that you're incredibly adding to the shows, the different things. I know one of them is in the future you want to do a segment that's called Dean on the Street when I'm not in the studio. So right away I thought of Somerset.
That's a long way to go on the street, darling.
Yeah, maybe you want to share with the audience a little bit about what Dean on the Street's going to be, Rea.
Dean on the Street. Where are we with Dean on the Street? Coming soon. A lot of it's based on Dean's ability to work with technical gadgetry, which, well, isn't the highest in the world, but it's getting there.
Well, I think it came out on the author Brian McLaughlin's show, A Flight Without Wings, last week. It came out on his show that my wife Sharon helps me every day with my clothes. That when it came to computer and technical, thank God I've got Anthony here at my side to every day help me with the technical side with computers and all the technical things that I have to get used to and get brought up to speed. So thank God I've got Anthony and Sharon in my life to help me with those two different things.
It's a job in and of itself. Let me just come out and say.
It is, isn't it?
Dean's my boy. I love him, but let me tell you, it's a job in and of itself.
Shocking. He has this ornate ability to throw me out, yesterday evening, serving dinner with the family and Dean's on. Oh, please. Anyway, moving on. To answer your question, Dean now has a quite a good recorder to interview people on the street, so he's going to be coming to see you. And I would suggest it's probably a good idea to start locally at Starbucks or whatever, Pablo's Pizza, and just go, and if you meet interesting people, start there before you introduce yourself to Somerset. It is very rural. Would you say it's cosmopolitan? No, not really. There's a couple of cities nearby, Bristol and Bath. They're quite cosmopolitan, but out in the rural area, they may see you as an alien, Dean.
Hey, Rea, you mentioned the media before, the news media and the state media, and I just found out, I thought you guys might find this interesting, that in Russia, they actually have their own news station dedicated to investigative journalism. And here in this country, and I imagine there in the UK, most of our media is state ran, and investigative journalism, I think, gets squashed more often than not. But I just found out about that. I thought you might enjoy that.
Wow, I know all about it, darling.
Listen, I know.
I deal with them on a daily basis.
While it's just fresh in my mind from yesterday, Rea, you've always told me, Dean Blechman, please just be relaxed, take it light, be your regular self of who you are. And I've got to just tell this story when we were talking about my phone calls, whether I'm calling you, Anthony, at 2 a.m. Rea's 5 hours ahead of us in the UK, but yesterday was a big day at the house. We thought it was going to be rained out, but we said rain or shine, we're doing it. And, my son got married back in June to a lovely young lady. That's his bride right now, Alexa Rose. And yesterday was a big day. It was the first day that we had Alexa's entire family out to our house. So talk about breaking a sweat. I mean, tremendous pressure to make sure that it was a great experience for them. And like what I expect all the time, here we had 15 people at the house, Alexa's family. What I call in the Yiddish word, we had the makatunum out. Do you know what makatunum is, Rea?
No.
Makatunum is we had the in-laws out, if you ever hear that.
We call them outlaws.
Well, I guess sometimes the makatunum can be outlaws, I guess, in some families. But Alexa has a beautiful family. Really nice people. We enjoyed them. But I went through, and I'm sorry I gave you a crisis and a hemorrhage late at night last night. I guess I'm always going to go through this, that whether it be the event we had at our house yesterday, there's always her Uncle Phil. He had 100 questions. And here I am, Skype texting you and driving you crazy. And I guess that's going to happen, that wherever I go, listeners, audience, friends, family, people I meet at Starbucks, at the car wash, everybody's going to have their 2 cents of what they call constructive criticism, that different things that we should be doing with the show. So once again, I'm sorry about last night. I hope it's okay between us.
Of course it's okay. Anyway, I stopped you, didn't I?
You stopped me. There's no question about it. You did stop me.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. No. There's nothing there. We dealt with the problem. I dealt with the problem, and then you just carried on saying.
Just think of the pressure that when we were at the butcher, when we were at the supermarket, and Sharon and I were putting the pressure on the butcher behind the counter, that Jared's mother-in-law loves skirt steaks. And that just think about Dean and Sharon, both of us putting, and for people that do know me, think what that butcher was going through when we put pressure on him, that this skirt steak that we're going to serve now for the first time, the makatunum coming over for a swim and a barbecue, there cannot be any veins in that skirt steak whatsoever.
Wow. What is it with you guys?
Oh, man.
So you can't go the McDonald's route then?
No.
Every time I leave here, my face hurts from laughing so much. Never in my life. My cheeks always hurt.
All I know is thank God for my wife, because let me tell you something. If you were a guest yesterday, there's no other welcome and graciousness, as you know, Anthony. Rea hasn't experienced it yet, but when you come to our house, you're hosted extremely well.
Yes, he is speaking the truth. Sharon is the best.
So, Rea, what else is there for us to talk about today?
Okay, well, I had to throw together some content, so I didn't use content that I'd prepped for the show that didn't work out. It was going all right, wasn't it? And then we just lost it completely, and we just couldn't. Yeah, I mean, there's an old saying in the recording industry, Dean, you can't polish a turd. And then the bright voice comes from the back. No, but you can roll it in glitter.
That's funny.
Okay, I'll move on. Right, so here's another thing. My spell checker broke. Oh my God, I can't spell. Oh, it was just awful. You know, how familiar I've become, and I'm sure other people, that you just go to the spell checker. It wasn't there for me. It was awful. So I thought I'd share that with you as kind of, but I have got another change in the subject, okay, a little bit. Oh, no. I want to bring it back to Anthony's comment on the Russian state-funded news channel, Anthony. I deal with them regularly because of what I do. And there's a great story here. I'll keep it as short as I can, but it's kind of quite hard-hitting stuff, really, about mainstream news outlets. That is, I was about to publish in the morning, as I do every morning, the global news, as it were. Mm-hmm. And then the Panama Papers happened. Mm. Well, I think I spoke to you about this before. You had to live on the moon not to be aware of the Panama Papers. Mm-hmm. And because we can see on the screens here all the global headlines, it went like virus. Within hours, it was global news break. Mm-hmm. It was all over the world, right? And the kind of backbone of the story was people are trying to avoid paying tax. Well, it's not a shocker, is it? I mean, people are trying to avoid paying tax from the ground up. Okay, it doesn't look good if you're in a position of authority, but at the same time, everybody's kind of doing it, right? If you can get away with paying less tax, you take it.
Yep.
So it's not that shocking. There's something else behind the story. 2 days later, Deutsche Bank settle out of court and admit for rigging a 553 trillion market. And they admit, yeah, we were fiddling it, no doubt about it. And they settled out of court, and they admitted in the courtroom that they'd fiddled the silver market. 4 hours later, the gold market. So they've got their fingers in there doing whatever they're doing there. It's a massive story. It's Deutsche Bank. It's the German bank. This isn't a high street bank. And there's loads of banks connected to it through derivatives, investment banking, corporate banking, etc. And then we saw it break on that news channel that you were talking about, Anthony.
Wow.
So I know.
Wow.
And it came up once.
And never again.
And the most reliable news source that we know of is Reuters. Mm. Broke on Reuters, and we expected it to be the biggest story of the century. Sovereign state bank caught fiddling the gold and silver market and turned over HSBC, Royal Bank of Scotland, Barclays, admitted they were all in it, and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Nobody wrote about it.
And
it was a shocker. And from that point on, at Wicked Vid, when we publish every day, we now look at it through that course of events. This is our opinions, not anybody else's, that all the rest have been bought. And the only people we can really rely on is really Reuters. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if you want dirt on America, just go to RT.
RT is great, and on that note too, I have to say this, tying into the corruption that happens in the financial world, and obviously we know what's happening in politics here, and even without taking a particular side, there's one thing I do have to say for the record, because I just saw it on documentary. It wasn't on Netflix. It was actually on YouTube. I watched it on my Apple TV on YouTube. It's a documentary called Clinton Cash, and it talks about...
It's on my front page this morning.
Oh, that documentary. Let me just tell you. So without taking a stance, right, it's like any decision that you have to, when you're faced with a choice in life, I was taught that you list the pros of making that choice and the cons, and then you see which one, outweighs the other one to make your decision. So, even let's say as an independent person, whether I'm for Trump or for Clinton, when you watch that documentary, I would love to hear people that are either Democrats or for Hillary watch that documentary and then come back and tell me they're still going to vote for her. I mean, I would be amazed after seeing that. I'm speechless. I don't have words. I really.
Front page this morning, darling, is on there. As you know, research is my thing. Saw it, more evidence of what is going on. I had some other news breaks on the front page as well. Guy looked into their charity, and because it's a charity, it has to be fully transparent of all exchanges to the public. Nope, none of it.
Well, the IRS is finally investigating them. Finally.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it was also leaked. WikiLeaks leaked that document, which is also front page, not today, yesterday, where they found the emails rigging the election against Bernie Sanders.
Yes, I did see that.
Did you see it?
That was a trip. That was a trip seeing that.
Oh, that's because I like Bernie.
Yeah.
Personally,
he's got some interesting points. He makes very valid points.
He does. And Glass-Steagall is one of them, but that's a bit more of a complex thing. And I'll wait for the next economics guy to come in to chat about Glass-Steagall and Black Swan, if you know what that is.
Both of you guys know that, especially when it comes to politics and a lot of subjects and guests and topics we're going to have on this show. But as I told you, my show is a platform for people to come on, tell their different sides. It's not for me to take positions and take sides. So even though we're in a political arena right now that we've never seen before, that today you can't, it's so hard to just speak to anyone about politics today more than ever in the history of our country.
I'm not sure. I think at the turn of the 1900s, I think there was a bit going on there, but I appreciate what you're saying. And in terms of guests, it's not about, they've got to come on and have their say, haven't they, and integrate into the show. It's not about giving somebody a hard time. It's about hearing their views. And if it does go political, which is number one, don't do it at a dinner party, isn't it? But either we go viewless. I know you're going to sit on the fence, but I'm going to go. I heard a thing about online and in public. What are the 2 golden rules to start an argument, abuse or something like that, online or in public? There's 2 rules. The first one, voice an opinion. The second one, wait.
Well, I will tell you, Rea and Anthony, that there is one thing I will tell you when it comes to politics, that I don't necessarily, I'll go along with our former mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg. And you heard his speech the other night. I don't vote based on party. I vote based on who I think is the best candidate, not on the party.
I mean, I think that's the way it should be. What blows my mind here. This was a topic last night, along with the Dean Blechman Show. It came up around the table. Is that we still use a system with the Electoral College where that may have worked great in the 1800s, but now, I mean, it's just insane to think that we live in a country where somebody can win the popular vote and not have the Electoral College votes.
Right.
And I think the last time that happened was in 2000. I think it was with Obama, but I might be wrong with my facts. But I mean, to me, I just think the whole system needs to be looked at again, because we live in a totally different time, and something that may have worked 200 and something years ago just is not working now.
Yeah, what is it? You need 270 electoral votes to win today.
Yeah. And from the polls I saw on Fox, the way it stands now, Trump actually has a pretty good shot at winning. But, Hillary's got California and New York. Right there is something like 80 or 85 Electoral College votes just in those 2 states. They're, quote unquote blue states. So, it'd be interesting to see kind of how it unfolds. And you mentioned Bernie too, Rea, and I think he had a lot of revolutionary ideas. And I think there needs to be a type of revolution, at least in the way of thinking in this country. And I think Trump, whether you love him or you hate him, between him and Bernie, bringing what they brought to light, I think they're allowing or making the American people realize they can think for themselves. And I think we've forgotten how to do that as a society. And now people are starting to think for themselves and say, wait a minute, this isn't right. 1 + 1 is not 3. You've been telling us forever it's 3, but it's 2. We know it's 2, So that's my take on it.
Anthony, will you do me a favor? You brought up mom and dad, and send my regards to them, and call Dad Doug. What a great guy. I'll never forget, as we were building the studio here in my home in Setauket, Long Island, New York. I'll never forget Doug put in a whole day here building out. He's an engineer, very handy, and please just pass my love and my thanks. Hopefully they'll come out to the house sometime, but I can't thank him enough for the work that he did here in the studio.
Definitely.
Really appreciate it.
Definitely. I definitely will. I love Doug. He's a great guy. My mother's birthday. Happy birthday to my mother.
I don't want to really get into what's too much political discussion here. There was something the last couple of days that did really have a tremendous personal impact on me, and that is constantly seeing the Muslim soldier's father on TV show after TV show, radio show after radio show, and just the discord that took place, whatever came out of Donald Trump's mouth, the connotations, everything that was said about Muslims. And, I still feel no matter how we all deal with difference on political or policies, that hit me, and I think hit a lot of people, that when you see no matter what nationality, no matter what you are, that you saw a father coming out like this on every TV show, one after another, and you see his face and his voice just cracking, that he lost a child in the war, that I don't care who it is. I still think when you are running for political office of president of the United States and you're commander in chief, I still think there should be courteous diplomacy given to any parents that lost a child that went to war for us, that was killed.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Anthony?
I can relate as a father, and I'm sure that's you can relate with you too. As a father, I do agree with you. Yeah. Regardless of race, religion, skin color, you should have a certain level of respect given to you.
Especially children that were killed in war, to have, no matter what policy or position you take politically, to just give the utmost respect
100%
to parents, no matter who they are or what they are.
Agreed.
Rea, any comment from you on that?
I'm with you guys. I mean, here. How can you not empathize with someone in that position? I don't know how that works. I think the problem is when you speak about people singularly, it's, how you deal with that is blatantly obvious, as plain as the nose on your face. Whereas when you get to the bigwigs at the top, they don't speak in single people, do they? They speak in groups, nations and stuff. So it can often be misinterpreted, and it's the tough stuff how to answer it. But, it's pretty clear, you have to pay your respect, Dean.
Anything else, Rea, that you want to bring over here?
I've got a couple of points. I mean, one of them is I learned today there's a Big Mac index.
A
Ever heard
Big
of
Mac?
that?
Big Mac? Like McDonald's Big Mac index?
Yeah, right.
Really?
I know, because obviously the franchise is global, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I only learned this morning. The franchise is global, and they can judge by how much material goes into a Big Mac and its value in each country.
Wait, so can you kind of break that down? Because I'm not sure I really understand. So
if you sell a Big Mac in Moscow and you sell a Big Mac in Long Island, to produce those goods have a different amount of money.
Okay.
So one in Long Island, because the cost of living may be more, for example, I don't know what it is, it costs this amount. And in Russia, it costs that amount. And through that, they now call, it's new to me, Big Mac index, just caught my eye. and I want to bring different kind of things. But yeah, Big Mac Index, and they indicated how undervalued the Russian ruble was in comparison to the dollar on the Big Mac Index. So
interesting.
Kind of comical, kind of interesting.
I do have to tell you, everything
that's
on
more
Long
your
Island,
area. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, everything on Long Island, for the record, is very expensive, and it's, I would say in relation to the rest of the United States.
Right.
We kind of live in like a bubble out here, and things are non-proportionally expensive, I feel.
Well, a lot of people from the island over the past 15 years have gone south to the Carolinas.
Yep. Getting too expensive for the younger generation out here.
Right.
And it's only seems to be going up, not down.
How'd you guys like those first two shows we did with my mom, and the first inaugural show with my mother, Dean Blechman, and then the second show with the author Brian McLaughlin, A Flight Without Wings? We had I thought a great show with Brian and my mother.
Yeah, it was awesome. With your mum's one, I spoke to you before the show, didn't I? And said it's going to be a very intimate thing, and it's going to be, I felt, a record for the Blechman family in the future. So I was basically pretty much going to stay out the show, and I was forced to stay out the show because of a sound problem that we tried the day before that worked fantastic and really didn't work on the day. So it sort of played in the favour of getting your mum to speak, because she's just, as Anthony said, awesome. And she could carry the show all by herself, Dean. They're my thoughts on your mum's show.
I've had at least 6 or 7 text messages and emails that have come in from friends, family, and listeners that have said they think the show should be changed from the Dean Blechman Show live from Long Island to the Gene and Dean Show live from Long Island.
I believe that. I do.
I think that's the beauty of your show, is that you can do something with someone like your mom and have this amazing show with her. She has so much wisdom, your mother. That's like the one word that comes to mind when I think of your mother. And she's a sweetheart too. And then you have someone like Brian come on, and you have these diverse people from all different backgrounds. And really nobody that I know, I think, is doing anything even remotely close. Most shows are either just politics or just finance or just sports, where I think you have amazing diversity with this show.
No, it's a platform. It's a show that, as I said, it's a conversation with me, bantering with me. It gives people an opportunity to come on, talk about their life story, their businesses, their practices, and gives them an opportunity to get into a very casual conversation with me and the two great people that are on the show right now to be brought into it. And I don't think in this genre you really have that out there.
Couldn't agree more. I haven't come across anything. And as we pull the format together I've heard some shows where they're guest centric and they can be difficult at times. So I think the aim is for us to weave it in and out of a format, as it were, which we're still generating. So, and to keep it light, because it's really easy for it just to fall down, or not fall down, but the energy goes down. And I think it's easy. I think the ugly truth is it's easy to lose listeners if it's not dialogue and it's long streams of monologue, Dean.
Yeah, and going back to my mother, and I'm sure, and it happened even with Brian McLaughlin, there's not a day that goes by since my mother's inaugural show that Sharon and I don't get calls from my mother that she wants to know when she's going to be invited back to the show.
Oh, that's lovely.
She'd like to be on again, because when she got off the show, she said there was so many other things she wanted to talk about, but you can't imagine that here this is. Think about it. This is a new career for me at this point in my life. Even though it's something that I've done my entire life, I interact and I connect with people and I love to speak. It's still new when you're in front of a microphone and broadcasting and all the challenges you go through that I can't think of anyone that you go back in history, either on radio or TV, that started a new career like this decided to build a state-of-the-art radio broadcast studio right in my home, produce a show, schedule guests, and the inaugural first show is my 89-year-old mom. And I really don't know who was more nervous for the show, me or my mother, but we had a great time, and she keeps playing it 100 times over. Her grandchildren, her children, her sons. She's telling everybody wherever she goes about the show and her show. And it's just, if anything, I'm so pleased that I gave my mom happiness and some satisfaction with the radio show and her being, my first guest.
Absolutely.
So were there any classic stories that you guys that you heard on that show that really stand back? Anthony, was there anything with my mom that really?
What's really incredible is that, here you have a woman 89 years old, works out, can use a computer, can use Skype. Unheard of at that age, really. No, really.
She doesn't miss a day at the gym. She goes down to fitness, lifts weights.
My mother's maybe 60 and she knows, I don't even think she knows about Skype, right? So, that is incredible. But what's even more incredible is you have someone that's had a tremendous wealth of experience. That here she actually said that the happiest time of her life, and this is someone who's tremendously successful, built a tremendous company, and she said the happiest time of her life was when she was poor, and that really blew me away. That for somebody that has accomplished what she has and is at her point in life to say that she was happier when she was poor. So.
Yeah, just as I said, remarkable. Yeah, remarkable.
She is remarkable. We have done a lot of amazing things so far, and you've really come a long way with the show. To think it's only been how many months?
It's only been 3 or 4 months now since the show evolved and came into fruition.
Trial and error, different equipment, you name it.
How about Brian McLaughlin's story, in Playa del Carmen with what happened to Brian?
Absolutely super story. The whole experience, and what I thought was interesting, and I wish he would have mentioned it during the show, was that he said he wasn't a social person prior to that accident, prior to that near-death experience, and he wasn't spiritual or social. And after that, he said it really changed him. I thought that was pretty fascinating with Brian. I've really got a lot out of his show.
If anyone hasn't listened to these first 2 shows, they can get it back on. They can go to the YouTube channel or go right directly to the website, deanblechman.com.
Yes, deanblechman.com, and we also have the YouTube channel, the Dean Blechman Show, on YouTube. I think we just lost Rea here. I'm going to patch her back in now.
The challenges of crossing over the Atlantic Ocean.
Hey, it's with technology though. Considering it's amazing what we can do nowadays, Rea, we got you.
Yeah, I'm back, sweetie.
Good. Awesome. We were just talking about the first 2 shows. That if anyone in the audience missed it, they've got to go back to my mom's show and Brian McLaughlin's. Anything that you want to say about those 2 shows that stood out, Rea?
Well, as I didn't hear what you were saying, but I did get a chance to make a coffee, which was lovely, as opposed to your traditional cup of tea in England. First one, if you're looking for Dean and his mum's show, just type in any search engine, Dean Blechman 001. And if you're looking for Brian McLaughlin's show with Dean, it's Dean Blechman 002. In any search engine, and you'll see it come up. So that's not a problem about those 2 shows. Your mum's one is just nothing but respect. I could listen to her and listen to her some more because, I don't know, she's just got it going on, hasn't she? And Brian's show was fantastic. Would have been lovely to have Lynn on as well. But thoroughly enjoyed the both of them. And the one that we started with Gabrielle was going well as well, but we lost we lost the connection. So that's where we are at the moment, Dean.
Well, besides my mom, Brian and Lynn keep asking when they could be invited back. They had such a great experience on the show. So I think the next time they come back, we're going to include his wife, Lynn, on the show.
That would be fantastic. You're the coordinator, darling, so you'll have to book them in as and when, but I know there's quite a queue.
So anything else before we bring this show to a close, Rea? Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Not really, no. We kind of did ad hoc. This is a good test for us to see how we cope with technology not working out, and in this case it was Gabriella's end, but I'm not going to speak about that because obviously we've got that show to come. Just a reminder for the people that something that may be useful was trialfunders.com. If you've been trodden on by a corporate company or a big company and you don't feel you can take them on, maybe have a chat with those guys, trialfunders.com. And that's me from the UK, Dean.
Well, listen, thank you very much, Rea. Appreciate it as always. Just fantastic how, as Anthony was saying, that we're still in the early stages of the technology here. And that's amazing that we could cross the Atlantic from where we are here on the North Shore of Long Island. And we're dealing with a lot of water here, and we're going across the Atlantic Ocean and bringing in Rea. So I think we're off. If you listen to the first two shows, we've got some pretty good broadcast sound that I'm extremely proud of. And a lot of that has to obviously do with Rea and my side partner here, Anthony, who's done just a great job. So I want to thank once again you, Anthony, Rea. Thank you very much. Stu, we mentioned Scott Morell, and I just want to say to all my listeners, we want to hear from all of our listeners, that the listeners can reach out to us with a free text number. For U.S. residents, it's 631-372-8849. That's 631-372-8849. We'd love to hear from all of you. Please include your name and location, and we will mention you on the show. Please don't forget to like us on Facebook and to hit the subscribe button on the show's YouTube channel. If you would like to leave a comment, please use the box below. If you would like to share your story or any of your ideas and would like to be a special featured guest on the show, please go to the website deanblechman.com and email me. I would like to thank all my listeners today for being with us. And until next time, have a great day.
You've been listening to The Dean Blechman Show, live from Long Island, New York. From all of us here, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. We look forward to hearing your comments via Facebook, Twitter, Skype, and email. And don't forget, you can visit the webpage anytime for the up-and-coming guest list. From all of us here, have a good evening.